Yo, what's going on, guys? So, Dave Filoni has gone on to answer something that many people are pretty upset about, which is the Sabine being force sensitive thing. So, in a conversation with Entertainment Weekly's Star Wars podcast, Dagobah Dispatch, Dave Filoni defended his choice of making Sabine a Jedi Padawan, even though she's not force sensitive. Very fundamentally, if you just pay attention to the films George made, you understand that the Force is an energy field created by all living things. So the Force emanates from all of us and everything, right? All living things. It surrounds us, it penetrates us, it binds the galaxy together. She's not absent from the Force. She is part of the Force. He compared Jedi training to learning a skill like martial arts or yoga. Literally the same thing that George has said. If you have seen any of my videos, or rather the ones in particular of the behind the scenes stuff. I think it was even, it was the behind the scenes, could have been original trilogy or it might have been Star Wars Archives. Anyways, George is talking about the Force and it might have been the midichlorian video actually from Paul Duncan's Star Wars Archives. George is talking about the Force and he's basically saying that anybody can do it. It's like martial arts. If that's your thing, if you're into it, it's going to take a lot of time and practice, but anybody can do it. So that's kind of what Dave is literally copying, reiterating from what George has said. Force sensitive is just the Jedi equivalent of a gifted child. Jedi training would be easier for them, but not impossible for anyone else. For Filoni, the fact Sabine wasn't gifted like Luke, Sabine and even Ahsoka made her storyline more powerful. Generally, we've seen very gifted people be trained, and I wanted to show kind of the opposite, with the warning that if she achieves her potential, there's also the danger in that because of the way she is as a warrior. She's prone to anger. All the things that make Ahsoka concerned could flare up. Filoni's perspective is interesting, but it does imply the Star Wars galaxy is teeming with middling hobbyist Jedi we've never seen. But whether you like it or not, or at least there's an explanation for how Sabine went from zero to Jedi hero. There's a new rule now. Anyone can be a good Jedi, even if they aren't a chosen one. So I disagree with that. Not anybody can be a good Jedi, but it's not a new rule. George has said this literally forever. I myself never was a huge fan of that, but it's literally George Lucas who made this rule up. It's not Dave Filoni. So don't be mad at Dave. Be mad at George if you don't like it, because literally George said this so many times, and I covered this years ago in videos. In fact, I think I covered it when the Broom Boy came out for Last Jedi. Like George did say that everybody has the Force. Everybody can use the Force. It's just if you're into that sort of thing or not. Again, do I like this? No, I don't. But that being said, yes, anyone can use the Force, but they're not going to be as powerful as Anakin Skywalker or Yoda, right? Case in point, Sabine. Now, with Sabine's case, I think she should have been way weaker than she was. People are going to be like, oh, but she trained the whole show. It's like, so? You remember Luke was literally the son of the Chosen One? He had like the same level of midichlorians. And yet when the Wampa was trying to kill him, he had a hard time summoning the saber. And he already was trained by Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's like, okay, yeah, well, what about that? Why is it flickering? And then he has to like focus. And then he gets it. And it's still difficult. So Sabine, I don't even think, I think what should have happened with Sabine was like she would try to use the saber at the end. It didn't happen. Then Ezra flicks it to her. The force jump push thing, no, that I think was super oversighted. I just really don't agree with that decision at all. I think that there's no way that she would be able to summon that much power that early in the game. Like that would take her years upon years of training. I don't care if she's trained by Yoda herself. That would take forever for her. She's not force sensitive. The droid, he said himself that she doesn't have any sort of abilities. She's literally like the weakest person he's ever met in the Force. And yet here she is like doing stuff that typically would take a extremely powerful force sensitive child quite a considerable amount of time to do this. Now, there is the theory that Sabine Wren is a descendant of Tar Vizsla, who was the first Mandalorian Jedi ever in existence, kind of what Grogu is now. So there is that, she potentially has that lineage, but I don't see Dave really talking about that at all. So that makes me confused as well. When it comes to George Lucas, I'm very much whatever he says. Like when I was talking to Nick Gillard in the interview, you guys might remember this part. There was a part where there was a alternate ending to The High Ground. The High Ground didn't exist. And Nick Gillard gave the actual scene of what that was supposed to be like. If you haven't seen that, go watch the interview with Nick Gillard that I had. Love the guy. Anyways, I was like, well, that would have been so much cooler. And Nick was like, I agree. So did the boys, Hayden and Ewan. And then I said, but hey, look, it's George Lucas. It's his movie. He's like, exactly, it's George. Without him, none of us would be here right now. So it's true. George's rules are canon. Dave is just literally being a good student and copying upon that. So, if you want to be mad at Dave, I really don't think you should. Then again, would George make Sabine Wren force sensitive like this? He could, but I just don't think that he would make her as, and it's funny to say as powerful as she was because she wasn't really powerful, but I just don't think that at all, she would have had that ability. But hey, yeah, whatever. I personally, I would have done it a little bit differently. I would have, maybe had the force push thing. I just think that was such a ridiculous movement. How would I have done it? Honestly, I don't know how I would have done that scene. I just don't think I would have had Sabine helping him that much. That was a huge amount of force push, dude. That was freaking massive. And for someone at her level like that, I just don't think that just didn't really make sense. But there is the answer from Dave's mouth himself, which I've explained a million times, and from George's mouth. He's literally just reiterating. He compared Jedi training to learning a skill like martial arts, which is literally what George did, compared it to martial arts, if you're into that sort of thing. So, yeah, let me know what you think. Are you into the whole Sabine using the Force? Are you into... I know some people are really down with her using the Force. Someone who's not Force sensitive, able to now use the Force, and seeing this sort of inverse of a talented Jedi training their abilities, whereas there's someone who is extremely pathetic and untalented training their abilities. Now, that being said, there obviously is a cap. There's a limit. It's not like they're going to be just extremely powerful with no ceiling, no cap. They're not going to be Palpatine. They're not going to be Yoda. They're not going to be Anakin or Mace Windu or whatever, Luke. Or Obi-Wan even. And mind you, Obi-Wan was one of the most pathetic Jedi ever. And this is in Legends. He really wasn't that gifted with the Force. Actually, it's in canon too with Master and Apprentice, how Qui-Gon would observe him as a Padawan. Be like, this is terrible. I was leagues ahead of him when I was his age. Already able to do the most basic things. Or intermediate things. He can't even do the most basic things. And so I feel like, with Obi-Wan, it was explained in Legends, it was his sheer discipline to studying and practicing that got him to the level that he was. Just through sheer hard work, right? It's like hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. But, if you have talent and you work hard, you're going to be number one. It's literally all that is. And Anakin didn't work as hard as Obi-Wan did, but he had talent. And that's why he got to where he got to. And then he turned to the dark side, and it literally was like steroids. So for him, that just propelled him. But with Sabine, I don't think she should have used the Force, to be honest. I don't think she should have used the Force at all. I think she should just remained a Mandalorian. And that would have been that. Leave the Jedi for who they are, where they are. Sabine doesn't have to learn the Force. We don't have to have everyone learning the Force nowadays. Who's next? Watto? Literally, Watto could use the Force. Watto could actually be a Force user. Any Tusken Raider. Shmi Skywalker, bro. She could just heal her own wounds. I'm telling you, this is how it works. Literally could happen. It just depends on how much they want to train. I'd be more inclined and more interested to see what their overall potential is. Like what's Sabine's potential? Is it going to be she able to shoot lightning out of her fingertips? Or where is the cap? Can she throw a lightsaber with the Force and summon it back? What is her ability cap? I think that would be interesting to dive into. So, whereas Anakin's is up here, can Sabine just keep training forever? What if she lives to be 1,000 years old? She's just going to keep going up and eventually become the chosen one and surpass? I don't know. Then you have Rey, who's extremely goated and gifted and does no training whatsoever and is already all the way up here. The power levels, I think, need to be kind of worked on in Star Wars a little bit if they want to go this route and kind of make everyone Force sensitive. But hey, we'll see what happens. Let me know what you think. Are you down with new people becoming Force sensitive, or are you not really into it? But anyways, don't rag on Dave. He's just following what George said and kind of taking liberty with it. But that's what he does now. So thanks so much for watching. See you in the next one. Until then, remember, the Force will be with you always.